Hey, what's up YouTube? King James here. All right, this comparison is really near and dear to my heart. The KAR98K and the Swiss K31. They're both some of my very favorite guns to use. I love to snipe, and I love the sniper support gun style play, like with the Milano or, you know, the QBZ, Groza, XM4 iron sights. I really like using those style of guns. That's one of my favorite loadout types with a sniper and a sniper support gun. So let me show you the two guns, and we'll see if we can figure out which one is better. And this is probably going to be pretty hard because the guns themselves are fairly similar, but let's see what we can do right now. All right, so first and foremost, like a lot of my comparisons, I have a quick sheet with some of the stats on it, and we'll do a bit of a rating system to see if we can figure out which one is best. Now, this is going to be pretty subjective because the guns themselves are actually technically pretty close to each other. So a little of it's just going to come down to play style and what you like more. There isn't one gun that's significantly better than the other. So in no way is this comparison meant to really change your mind. If you really like the Swiss, you really like the KAR, use whichever one you like. However, I thought maybe I would do the comparison in case you wanted to see what the other gun was like and you're interested in trying it out. So for starters, the KAR and the Swiss, they both have roughly the same RPM. They do sort of roughly the same damage to all the different places, and there's a couple of differences in reload speed and ADS speed. So I thought I would look at a whole bunch of different categories, like overall feel, which is very subjective, that's just me. What the reticle looks like, because that's pretty important as well. ADS speed, reload speed, bullet velocity, and whether two bullets to the body can kill, because they all kill with one shot to the head. So can you get them down with two shots to the body, which is one of the other major concerns that you have with the gun, because you don't always hit headshots. So first, let's start with overall feel, and let me play some clips so we can have a look at what the two guns are like in gameplay. And just before I jump into the comparison, I want to say thanks to everybody who's recently subbed to the channel and is here watching my videos. I really appreciate all that love and support, so thank you guys. And if you haven't subbed to the channel, consider subscribing, because it really does help small content creators like myself. All right, let's get into it. So let's start out with a little action from the Swiss K31, and it's one gun that I have as a go-to quite often. I like the way it sounds, I like the way it handles. I have dark matter unlocked, so it looks really cool with dark matter unlocked, or sometimes I run diamond on it, and I like the way the base scope looks. So I've always used this gun quite a bit and think that it's actually a pretty solid gun. And one thing I do like about it is it comes with the scope already, where the KAR doesn't. But then you can run the KAR with iron sights, which you can't do on the Swiss. So there's that. Although I don't think I'm running iron sights on it, and the KAR works just well with the sniper optics. So really, it's going to come down to a little bit of which one you like to use. And I find both of the guns work really well when you're tracking moving enemies and you're looking for, like a quick shot like this. The ADS speed on the Swiss is pretty good. It's not as high as the KAR, but it definitely works, and I enjoy carrying it. Even where here I'm using the OTS-9, it's actually a good pairing with that, even though that's such a short range gun, because you can use both of those snipers at pretty close range. That last shot, what was that, like 30 meters away? This is maybe, I don't know, 100 or so across. So they both work really well on this distance of sniping. I downed him. So now the KAR. I've always sort of gone between the KAR and the SPR from the Modern Warfare guns. I really like them both, and they were both a little bit different, but I think the KAR sort of came out as being the better gun. And to be honest, I've always really enjoyed using it. And if you didn't see that right there, let me play this for you again. I downed that guy, and here's a little trick. If you ever want to grenade the tower, go up, put your reticle right at the top of the tower, and it'll throw a perfect nade in there every time. Anyway, little trick for you. But the one thing I do like is I do like the base reticle on this with that little arrow. Actually, that's kind of nice, and I think it makes it real easy when you're sniping versus a regular cross. That's one thing that I do think the KAR has a bit of an advantage on the Swiss K31, is that base reticle. And it's not quite as big on the screen. I think it's a tiny bit smaller, so it doesn't take up quite as much of your screen, but you get the same level of zoom, which is 7x. So both of them work really well. I do like the the way it shoots and the bullet velocity on it. It's always been a pretty good performer for me when I'm shooting at guys, and I've hit a lot of really good shots. So I think both of them have their place, and they have some very minute differences. So let's go back to the chart and have a look at some of the ratings there and see if we can kind of drill down between the two and come up with which one you think you might want to try, or that we think is the best. All right, so for overall feel, I actually think I like the Swiss K31 a tiny bit better than the KAR98. So I'm going to give it 10 and I'm going to give the KAR 9. But this is pretty subjective, and to be honest, I can do really well with both of them. Now let's have a quick look at the reticle. I talked about that earlier, but let's look at them side by side. So for the reticle, you can see both of them right here. The up arrow is pretty nice versus the cross on the left. I kind of like how that looks a little bit better. So let's go back. All right, so for the reticle, I'm going to give the KAR 10 and the Swiss 9, putting them sort of at a dead heat. Now, one of the things where they do have quite a difference is the ADS speed. The KAR98 ADS is over 100 milliseconds faster. So I don't find that the Swiss is bad, but this is definitely faster. And if you like to do that sort of quick scoping and shooting, and it's one of the things you really like to do, that's really where the KAR98 has an advantage over the Swiss. So I can do it, but I don't find myself doing it very often. So I'm going to have to give 10 to the ADS speed, and I'm going to give 9 to the Swiss K31. Now for reload speed, the Swiss is definitely faster on the reload than the KAR, because the KAR reloads an individual bullet at a time, where the Swiss is a whole cartridge that it sticks in the bottom. So it's definitely faster. So we're going to give 10 and we're going to give 9. So we're actually at a dead heat. Now, bullet velocity. This is actually one thing that I went and measured, and let me show you real quick. So I jumped into Plunder and I land at prison and I shoot towards these 2 grain silos or whatever they are. They're exactly 504 meters away. And this is what helps me measure it. And what I do is I just put a timer on top of it and I take a shot. And I start it right when I take the shot. So you can see that's the first frame and the shot fires off. And what I do is I watch the bullet fly across, and this is at 60 frames a second. And as soon as it lands, right around 500 milliseconds, you see there it disappears. So I try it again. Bam, the shot comes off, and right around 500 milliseconds, whoops, I went way too far. Right around 500 milliseconds is where the bullet disappears. So let's go have a look at the Swiss. That was the KAR, and here's the Swiss. I'll just pick a couple here. All right, so same thing. As soon as the bullet leaves the chamber, bam, flies over, and oops, going way too far again. Also disappears right at 500. Let's check this one here. Bam, same thing. Shot comes off. And as we scroll across, right around 500, it's gone. You can see the trail of it there, gone. So they both have almost exactly the bullet velocity. So when we measure 500 milliseconds over 504 meters, this is where we land. And I only tested the 2 barrels because they're the only ones that give real bullet velocity. There's the Combat and the GRU 1020, and the Monolithic and the SPR26 1022. They're both almost exactly the same. So I measured it as 493 previously. It's landing at 500. Doesn't really look like it's changed. And True Game Data reports around the same bullet velocity as well. So to be honest, I think the bullet velocity on both of them is 1020 or 1030 or, frame rounding wherever it lands. So they're both exactly the same. There used to be a distinct difference between the 2 of them, and now there's not. So then the only other thing that's left is one thing that I noticed when I was playing in one of my clips, and let me show you. All right, so check this clip out. This is a snipe where it took me 2 shots because I hit 1 shot there and then a second one there to get the down. But here's the thing we got to look at a little bit more closely is let's look at where the 2 shots landed. So this shot right here, as I scroll through it right here, you can watch the moment the shot fired right there. You can see where it's headed. It looks like it's going to land as a chest shot. Right? You see right where it is right there. It's landing right in as a chest shot. And then the second shot, I reloaded and you can see I'm right up here when the shot comes off, right bang there. Okay. See, I'm right on the legs. So it's going to be an extremities almost for sure. You can see where the shot is right there. It's definitely hitting a leg right there in order to get the down. Bam, there, I got the down. So let's have a quick look at the damage numbers to see if this makes any sense. So here's the thing. If I'm using the Swiss and I hit a chest and I hit an extremities, those 2 together is 263. So a 3-plated enemy is 250 hit points. That would have gotten him down. If I was using the KAR98, it'd be 154 and 86. That's only 240. So if he had 3 plates, those 2 shots wouldn't have got him down at all. Now, if it was a stomach and extremities, that's 187. So if he had a single plate in, that would have been how I got him down. And with this one here, it'd be 172, so it'd be the same thing. So the only thing is about the Swiss is because it does a bit more chest, if you hit a chest and an extremity shot, which is what I think I did in that frame right there. Correct me if I'm wrong if you think it was something different. If you had 3 plates, it's 263. So 3-plated enemy, I would have got him down, where I don't with the CAR because it does slightly less damage to the chest. So it's one scenario where you might get it down with the Swiss, where you might not have with the CAR. And I think that's what happened in that frame that you were seeing there. If you don't think that's what happened there, hit me up in the comments below. But when I look at it frame by frame, I think that's what's going on there. So with that said, 2-bullet shot, well, for the CAR, most of the time you're going to get it, but with the Swiss, you're definitely going to get it because it has the higher damage to the chest. So you're always doing at least 250. It doesn't matter if you hit 2 chests, a chest and a stomach, or a chest and an extremities, you're going to get the down. Now, if you do a stomach and extremities or any combination of those with either gun, you're not getting a full down. All right, so what are we left with in the end? Well, the Swiss won on here, but to be honest, it's really close, and either one is really good. I do like the reticle on the CAR better, and I like the damage that the extra Swiss puts out, but that's a pretty minor scenario. So really, it's a toss-up. So as I said, I tried both of these guns with lots of sniper support weapons. There's tons of great choices out there, and I'm going to do a video on that really soon, so stay tuned for that. However, let me show you the build on both of these guns. So for the KAR98, it's a pretty static build. It's been around for a long time. Monolithic suppressor, SynGuard Custom 27.6, TAC laser, sniper scope, and the F-TAC Sport Com. And this is what gives you the really fast ADS that, beats the Swiss. And if you really like to quit scope, this is the way you want to build it. And for the Swiss, a little bit different, the GRU suppressor, the 24.9 combat recon, SWAT 5mW laser. I don't use an optic, I just use the standard one that comes on it. We use the bruiser grip, which gives you more stability and movement speed, and the airborne elastic wrap for even more aiming stability. And this has been super successful on this gun. And it's pretty well the static build that's come out now that the gun has been refined and it's in a pretty good place. I don't think it's going to change from this a whole lot. All right, guys, give me your thoughts in the comments section down below. What's your favorite gun? Is it the Swiss or is it the CAR? Or are you using something completely different? Or you just don't like sniping at all? I've really enjoyed using both of these guns, and when it comes down to it, if I have to pick one or the other, it's the Swiss. But that's for very, very minor reasons. So it's pretty well an individual choice. So let me know what you think is the best. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. So if you don't see me in Warzone, if you don't see me multiplayer, it's only a matter of time, baby. King James out.
Down the guy. Downed him. Oh, what a shot!
Drop on the way.
Oh, did you see that? Oh my god!